Record audio script. Okay, great. So now we will study today. I'm gonna explain the event loop, and it's very, very similar to the front end. So no different between that. Of course, there is an article here, something I wrote here. It's go in detail line by line if you want to read it, but I'm gonna just explain it for you now. So let's say I have this code, and my code, the first line is just I'm logging start. The second one, I have set timeout. And if you remember set timeout, I told you it's an API. It executes certain function after certain delay. And the delay here is a unit is, what's the unit? What's the unit here?
Yeah.
Millisecond.
Millisecond. So it's millisecond. Even if it's 0, so even the delay here is 0, that's considered asynchronous code. That means first the synchronous code, it will be executed, then it will come to the asynchronous code here, even if the delay is 0. So here 0 millisecond, here I have 2000 milliseconds, that means it's just 2 seconds, okay, because the unit is millisecond. Now normally what I like to do here, I can just say 2 multiplied by 1000, and like that here I know because it's millisecond, I convert it directly to second, and like that it will be easy for me to know it's 2 seconds. But you don't have to do that. If you can just write 2000 if you want to. But I like to do this way because it's really clear for me. It's just more readable. It's 2 seconds now. And at line 11, I have console.log int. Now my question for you, and I want to see all the list. Where are your names? Let me see. I cannot see anyone. Okay, now I can see you. Adil, which line of code here, if I execute this code, which line of code it will be executed first? Adil? You can hear me?
The first one, the 0 second.
So line 1.
I mean, yeah, the console log.
Yes. So first the console log. I just want I just want the first line of code. That's it. Thank you. So the first one, it will be executed console.log start. Why? Because that's synchronous code. And after that, Agnieszka, what's the second line it will be executed in my code here?
It will be the last one, 11. Console log end.
Yeah, because it's synchronous code, this one be executed. This two is not going to be executed. Why? Because they're asynchronous code. That means it will be, it will go to the stack. The stack cannot execute them. It will move them to something. If you remember in the browser, we call it web API. In Node, we just call them Node API. So that's the only difference between them. It will go to the API, and after that, they will wait until they're ready. Then they will move to the queue, and then if the stack is finished, so that means I don't have any synchronous code left, the event loop will push the first one. Why? Because the time here it's less, so it will take the 0 millisecond and it will forward it to the call stack to be executed, and then this one. So this one, it will happen third, and this one, it will happen last. Voila. And of course, I can show you here. So what I can do here, I can just run my code here. So I can just either say node, the name of my file, or I already have a script for that, as you can see, node server.js. So I can just say npm start. So I can just say npm start. Voila. And as you can see, first I have start, which is nice. Second, I have int, and then I have 0 second delay or timeout. Then I have 2 second timeout, which is exactly as I explained. Okay, let's go to the diagram and explain a little bit here. And again, it's the same as the front end, nothing new. So I have the same code I just explained now. What's going on here, when I'm trying to execute my code, the first line here, which is console.log, it will go to the call stack. Here, the call stack will decide, can I execute this code immediately or not? So it's just console.log. That means it's synchronous code. That means it can execute it immediately, right? Yes?
Yes.
That means it will just execute it directly, and I will see the output as a start like that. It will come to the second one, which is set timeout with 0 delay. Can call stack execute this set timeout? Can it execute it immediately or not?
No.
Why?
Because it's asynchronous.
Because it's asynchronous code, so it will just move it to Node API. So imagine the Node API, imagine the call stack just like in a restaurant, there is waiter. I told you, Node in general, Node JavaScript in general has one thread. That means if I try to compare it with the restaurant, we have only one waiter here. So the call stack, it will be only one. So for example, if one table asks the waiter, can you give me a steak? The guy cannot, the waiter cannot just immediately create a steak. It will take some time. So it will forward his order to the kitchen here. And Node API is just like a kitchen. And inside the kitchen, there is other people. So here there is one thread, but in Node API, we have at least 4 other threads. So there are different people. It's just like the kitchen. So what the kitchen is going to do, they're going to prepare his food or whatever. And when it's ready, it will just move to the queue here. The queue is just a place where all the request is being in one line, waiting for it to be executed. So when all the synchronous code finish, so this one, it will be moved to the call stack, it will be moved to Node API. Then set timeout, the second one, also it's asynchronous code. It will go to the call stack cannot execute it. It will move it to Node API. Then I have console.login. It will move to the call stack. Can the call stack execute this code immediately or not? The last line.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, so it will move it to the output directly. But now I stuck with these two set timeout. They will be in Node API. After they are done, where they will be moved?
To callback queue?
So no. We have first the queue. So they need to go to the queue here. So they cannot just go directly to the call stack. So they will go to the queue. So the one with the 0 delay will be here. The one with the 2 seconds, it will be here. And after that, when the call stack is empty, and only when the call stack is empty, what the event loop is going to do? When the call stack is empty, what's the event loop is going to do?
It will take to the call stack.
So it will take one task here from the queue to the call stack to be executed. But only if the call stack is empty. That means if I don't have any synchronous code left. So all the synchronous code must be executed. And then here, the event loop has one job and one job only. He is always listening. If there is any task in the queue here, it will, and of course, if the call stack is empty, it will take one task and it will forward it to the call stack to be executed. Then when it's been executed, it will see, do I have any other task? Yes, I have. Set timeout with 2 second delay. And it will forward this one again to the call stack to be executed. And voila. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
It's the same as the backend. There is no difference. The only difference here in the front end, we call this one Web API. Here we call it Node API. Yes?
Yes.
Good. Now you can, of course, you can read all of that here. It's explained in detail step by step, but that's what I explained for you. And if you need more information here, you can go to Free Code Camp. It even give you more information, but that's the basic here. I think all of you who done the front end already understands that. Ms. Milano, do you have any question, Ms. Milano?
No, I understood.
Very good. Remember, the event loop has one job and one job only. He's always listening. He never sleeps. So when the call stack is empty, that means if I don't have any synchronous code left, it will just, it will check the queue here, or the callback queue, whatever you want to call it. We see, is there any task here? If yes, it will take one task, forward it to the call stack to be executed. And when it's been executed, I see the output, I don't have anything else. If I have another task, it will forward the second task, and so on, and so on, and so on. Is the idea clear? I think so. Perfect. So now we still have some time. I'm going to teach you how to build a simple server using Node. And in real life, of course, we will not use Node. We will use Express. But I think it will be a good idea for you to learn it a little bit the hard way first. And then when we do Express, we will never need this code. But I just want to show you that we can build a server using only Node. But in reality, it's very complex. That's why people create Express, to make everything simple. But nevertheless, I think it would be a good idea to just go through this one. So let's try to go here. Actually, before that, I think I have to show you something. Before that, let me show you something. Click here. I think you see this one, right? So here I just have a table which compares the browser with Node.js. Now, of course, the browser and Node.js, both of them are different environment to execute JavaScript. So the browser, its environment to execute JavaScript in the front end. Node.js, its environment or runtime to execute JavaScript. So the language is the same, but the environment is different. The place I am executing the code is different. So what we are using Node for, of course, it's server-side language or environment, actually, to be more precise, it's runtime. So it's server-side. We use it for the backend. As a browser, of course, we use it for the front end. You know that. So Node, what is Node? Node is a V8 engine. So I told you, when we use Chrome, the guy created Node. So you go to the Chrome because, of course, I can execute JavaScript in Chrome. Why? Because in the browser, I have JavaScript engine, and the JavaScript engine is called V8. So it's the fastest JavaScript engine. So the guy say, okay, what if I take the engine out and I add some other functionality? And voila, he created Node. So what is Node? It's just a V8 engine, but outside of the browser with some other functionality. So he add other library using C and C++, and also JavaScript to make it like a separate environment to execute JavaScript. For the browser, of course, we can access the client side using different browser. For example, if I am using Chrome, the engine to execute JavaScript is called V8. SpiderMonkey, it's for, what was the other browser name? There's another browser which is quite famous.
Mozilla?
No.
Chrome.
Fire?
No,
Opera?
no, not Opera. There is another one. But anyway, the name of engine for some other browsers are SpiderMonkey, Shakara. We have different name, but what we are using is called V8, which is for Chrome. SpiderMonkey, actually, let me just check it here online because I forget the name of the browser. SpiderMonkey.
It's Mozilla.
Yes, but it's the name of the browser is not Mozilla. SpiderMonkey is open source JavaScript. We use it. What is the name of the Firefox? It's Firefox. So the browser Firefox is quite also popular. So the name of the engine for Firefox, we call it SpiderMonkey. No, it's just a name. For Chrome, we call it V8. That's the most important thing for me. Voila. So in the client, we can use different browser, but on the server side, on the backend, we only can use V8 with some extra library, which has been built using C and C++. That's important for me. And access IO, input-output operation. Of course, as we seen yesterday, Node can use the file system to create file, update file, or append file, read file, delete file. We cannot do that with the browser side for some security issue. API here, we have, of course, different API or different built-in module in a Node. For example, file system, we've seen it, HTTP, for example, URL. We have a lot of built-in module here in Node. For the browser side, we've seen we have also some API like DOM, local storage. We've seen that in the front end here. So the DOM here has helped me just to access my DOM, which will simply be my HTML, create element, append element, and so on and so on. Local storage helped me to store data. The event loop for both of them, we have the event loop for both of them doing the same job. In both of them, JavaScript is single-threaded because it's the same language, non-broken language. And the module here actually is the one is created, the event loop we created with one of the library belong to C++ or C, which is called libuv, but you don't have to worry about that. Don't worry about that. Package manager. So the package manager for Node, of course, it's NPM, or we can use the Yarn, but the most popular is NPM Node package manager. There's no difference between Yarn and NPM. The only is the command. So NPM, if I want to install something, I say NPM install the package. Here, if I want to use Yarn, I say Yarn add, and so on. So just some command differ, but other than that is the same. This one is a little bit faster Yarn, but NPM is used most of the time. So yeah, we go with NPM. Here, nothing. If I want to compile my code in the front end, and we've seen that with React, I need to use a compiler or For example, like Webpack. Webpack allow me to take the code and then convert it to the, for example, if I'm writing in ES6, it will convert my code to ES5. But then again, that's not so important here. API, we've seen this one. Security here, not that much. What else are different? Framework here, that's quite important a little bit. So framework for Node, we have Express, we have Nest.js, we have a lot of framework actually, but the most popular is Express. Here so in the front end, we have support for WebSocket, and we will learn WebSocket at the end of the training here. I can use JavaScript or TypeScript with Node. Also in the front end, I can use JavaScript or TypeScript. It's the same idea. But of course, my browser cannot understand TypeScript, so I need to convert it to JavaScript at the end. Is the idea clear here? So that's some differences between Node and browser. Yes, no?
Yes.
Good. Now, one important thing here I want to show you before we move to this one. If you remember here in the browser, do I have my browser here? Yes. Let's click on this one. I showed you what's the biggest object. I'm talking in the client side. What is the biggest object in JavaScript? It's called window. So if I click on window, as you can see, I have an object with almost everything, as you can see. Wow, it's very, very big object with a lot of method, a lot of property, a lot of other object. Now, in the server side or in Node, we don't have the window. Okay, we have something else, another object, which is called global. So if I say, for example, console.log here, console.log, and here, if I try to log the window, of course, it does not exist. So we have something called global here. Voila. Now, the global is equivalent. It's a global object. It's like the window in the browser, but it's not as big as the window, because the window, it's very huge, as we see now. But now if I try to log this one, as you can see, it's actually a very small object. It's not very huge, see? So it's small object with set timeout. So I have this functionality, clear timeout, clear interval set timeout. Because it includes those ones, that means I can use those also on the backend server side as well. And I have fetch, I have crypto, I have performance. We will see all of them here. Crypto performance, for sure, we're going to see it. Set interval, set timeout if you want to. So as you can see, global here, it's the biggest object in Node, but it's not that huge, not like window. But I mean, that's the equivalent to Windows in the browser. Is the idea clear? Yep.
No.
Good. Let me get rid of this one. Now, what I'm going to try to do now, I'm going to try to build our first server here, just using Node. So how can I build a server? In order to build a server here in Node, I have a built-in module which is called HTTP. So because, of course, I'm using this plugin, which is called Babel plugin transform module, and because I have these settings, that means I can use import as we discussed yesterday. So I can just say import HTTP from HTTP. So I'll just need to import this built-in module. I don't need to install it because it's built-in in Node, it's core module. So what I can do here, I can just say, yes.
I have a doubt, like instead of import, we can use that require, no, yesterday you have shown, right? That also we can use, right?
Require, you can use it all the time. Require, you can use, yes. But it's just because I've teach you how to do that in the front end, I think it will be a better code, and that's the future actually. Most of them, by a little bit more time, we're gonna use the same syntax for the front end and the back end. That's the reason why I am adding this setting, so it allow me to use import and export, okay? But you can use require if you want.
Okay, so that's what when I try, it was not working. So now I understood, because yeah, now I remember you told we have to put this Babel, then only this import will work, right?
Yes, but again, it will not work because you need to first import or install this plugin. That's the reason why it's not working. So I need to install this plugin, and also inside my package.json, I need to add type module, and then here I need to create a file called Babel RC, and I copy this one and paste it here. Okay, so you need to add this setting so it will work. If you don't add this setting, it will not work, of course.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Because import and export, we still did not implement it fully in Node. So it's still working on that, so it will take more time. but require it will work. Fine. So I have the HTTP module. Of course, if I want to, I don't have to import all the HTTP module if I want to, but for you, it's fine. I can now say HTTP dot create server. So this HTTP module, it's give me a function or a method, which is called create server. And create server here, it take as a parameter, it take a function as a parameter. What do I mean by that? So I need here to pass a function. And this function by default receive two argument or two parameter, which is the request and the response. Okay, by default. And here I just need to write my code. Voila. Now, of course, this create server here, this guy. So currently I am not doing anything, as you can see. I will go a little bit slowly just so you don't get confused. Let me just do this one. Again, if I say HTTP, this module, built-in module, it gave me a function which is called create server, is allow me to create server in Node. And you may tell me, how do you know that? Well, you need to go to the documentation, and then you need to read the HTTP module so it knows that it gives you this function. But I am telling you that we have a function which or method, because it's inside an object, we say create server. This create server take one parameter. This parameter here, as you can see, it's a function. Voila. This function take two parameters. The request, so there is a request, it will coming from the client side. And this response here, it's what the server now, it will send to the client. So all the time, as you can see, I will have two parameter by default, request, which is coming from the client, and response, which I will send it to the client. Is the idea clear here? Yep.
Yeah.
Now, this create server here, it returns something. So if I go here, this guy here, it will return me something, and it will return me this function here, it will return a server. So it will create a server here, as you can see, and it will return it. So I need to save it in a variable, and I can name it const server like that. It's equal to HTTP dot create server, and voila. So this method here, it will return me the server. So that's my server. Now, of course, if I create my server, I'm not doing anything. I need to listen to my server. So I need to allow, now that's my server I created. But if the front end, the client try to connect to my server, they will not able to. Why? Because I need to tell, or I need to define, or I need to tell my server, okay, if anyone try to connect to you using this port is just like a door. So if any request come from this door, I want you to accept it and handle it. And in order to do so, it's really simple. I can just say server dot listen. So server here is an object. I just listen. Listen, it's a method. As you can see, it can take two parameters. The first parameter is the port. Which port I want my server to handle all the requests. Now the port is up to me, but try not to go beyond 1,000, because most of the time my system, my laptop use some port which are less than 1,000. So it would be a good idea to use, for example, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. But the most, how can I say, most of the time we use it this way. So I'm going to declare a variable here, and I'm going to name it port. And Agnieszka, it's by default. So it's a convention. The convention, we name it port, as you can see. All cap, port, like that. Const port is equal to, I can make it 3,000 or I can make it 5,004. It's up to you to name. You can name it whatever you want. So you can choose any port you want. It's fine. But for me, normally I go with 5,000 for the server. So the most used time you will see for the server, we go with 5,000. For the client side, if you remember in React, it was 3,000. And if you are using Vite, if you are using Vite to create it, I think it's 7,000 something. But anyway, you can go here with 5,000, 5,001, 2, 3, 4, and voila, whatever you want to. Now, my server here is this. My server is an object. I have a method inside it, which is called listen. Now, this listen take two parameters. The first parameter, it will be my port, which I defined already, port. So I need to pass my port. And the second parameter, it will be a function. And here, this function take no parameter. But what I can do here, if my server run, whatever inside this function, it will be executed. So if my server is listening, it will log this one. Server is running on port, my port, like that. Voila. And I created a server, and that's my server. It's quite simple. But of course, now if I run my server now, I mean, I'm not sending anything to, am I sending anything to the user or the client? So that's my response. Am I sending anything to the user?
No.
Am I sending? No. So I need to send something. I created my server. I import HTTP. By the way, you don't have to import HTTP. You can import only this function if you want to, because from the HTTP, actually, I don't need anything. I just need this create server. That's only what I want. So it's named import, as you can see, and just create server, and it take request and response. And here, of course, now I need to add something to the response and send it to the user. And as you can see, my server is listening at port 5004. And here, if the server is listening now, if I run my code, my server here, if it's working, everything's fine, it will log server is running on port, and it will give me the name of port. Voila. Of course, if I open my stuff here, voila. And if I try to run node server.js, which is the same as npm start, let's see what will happen. npm start. npm start. So as you can see, server is running on port 5004. That means my server now is alive. You need to remember something very important. Your server all the time must be running. If your server is not running, that means when any client try to access your website, he will not be able to, because your server is not running. So your server here all the time must be running. If it's not running, you cannot connect to whatever website you are doing or whatever data you are trying to connect. Is the idea clear? Yes?
Samir, one doubt, Samir.
Hmm.
Like the port number you have given, no? You told it should be within which limit? That port 5004, we give like, because we usually will give 3000, no?
Okay, there is no limit really. It's up to you. So it's your server. You can define any port you want to, but how can I say? The recommendation is do not go beyond 1000. Okay, you can make it 2000, 3000, 4000, whatever. Now you will see during the training, most of the time I use 5000 for the server. But then again, it's up to you to use whatever you want. Okay?
Okay.
Good. Now, I have a problem here. Why? Because I'm not sending now. If I try to connect to my server, it will give me nothing. Why? Because I'm not sending anything here. See, the response is empty. I'm not sending anything. So I need to send something to the user. So how can I do that? Well, first I need to know what I want to send to the user. So for now, when I say user or client, it's the same. Now what I want to do first, I want to send some text. Okay, so what should I do? Remember, request and response, I told you yesterday, both of them are objects. That means both of them has a lot of property and a lot of method. So what I can do here, I can just say response dot, and here I can use, as you can see, I have a lot of methods here I can use. I can define status code. I can set the header. So what I want to do first, I want to set the header. So you may tell me, what is set header? Well, set header is, it's like I need to define what type of data I want to send to the client. So as you can see here, I need to say content type, which is this one, for example. So the content type is application/JSON. I don't want application/JSON. I want to text plain. I think text HTML or text. Let's make it text HTML. So here you need to define what type of data you're going to send to the front end or the client. And here I'm saying it's just a text HTML. I want to send an HTML to the client. So first I need to set the header. Also, I need to set the status. Those status code like that. And status code here, I want it to be 200. Can anyone tell me what is 200? We've studied that in the front end.
Okay.
Connection is okay.
Successful. 200 successful. So I can do the status code. I can make the status code 200. I need to define what type of data I want to. So to define the type of data, I need to use exactly this way. This one is capital. So I need to do exactly the same. Content type, it's property. And here we can use text HTML, text plain, that means it's only text plain, or I can send whatever I want to, application/JSON, whatever I want to send. Okay, fine. Now I'm saying the status is 200, that means it's successful, that's good. I'm telling my request, okay, the type of data I'm going to send to the front end, it will be HTML. That's okay. But now I need to add some HTML, right? Well, REST give me another function which is called write. So I can just say rest.write. Sorry, rest.write. See? And now here I can write any HTML. See, H1, hello world, for example, or hello from my server, or hello from Node. Now this function rest.write, I can use it multiple times, not just one time. So I can use it multiple times. Say rest.write, I can write again. Oh, here, voila. See, so I'm writing something else. This is the simple Node server. I can use this function as much as I want to. It's really up to me. Or maybe I can be a little bit smart and do something else. And instead of sending it this way, I can use backtick. What does backtick allow me to do? What does backtick allow me to do?
Concatenate?
No, it allows me to create multiple lines, right? So
Yes.
I can now create multiple line here, and I can say hello world. Notice it's just an HTML, huh? Hello world, and here I can add another line. This is simple server. I don't know, server is running. I don't want to do that. I can just say this is a simple server, blah blah blah. And here I can add multiple lines. So what I'm doing, backtick allow me to create multiple line string. And like that, I can add any HTML I want to. It's fine with me. That should be cool. I can move this one here, and I can move this one here just for clarity. So it will be clear. I can add more HTML, by the way. I can make it a full page if I want to. Now, one important thing you need to remember here, when you finish writing your stuff to the response, you need to end the response. So I need to say res.end. If I don't say res.end, what's going to do here, it will not really send a request to the response to the user. It will keep running and running and running in the client side, as the client side will receive nothing. So I need to remember all the time to end my response. If I say end, that means it's finished, and then it will send it to the client, simply like that. Is the idea clear? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Now I have one problem here. You need to remember something. Now, of course, what script I use, npm start. Now, if I go to npm start, I am using Node. The problem with Node, each time I make change to my file, my server, I need to stop it and run it again. Otherwise, this change, it will not be reflected. So I need to say Control-C, and I need to run it again. Why? Because this change now, it will be included. And of course, we have a solution for that. Now we'll see, we'll use another tool that we don't have to close our server all the time and restart it again. We have some tool which will do that automatically for us, but don't worry now. Now I have my server is working. So if a client send a request to HTTP localhost 5004, he should receive this HTML. So let's try to do it. Here it's 5004, so let's try to do it. And voila, so as you can see, now I have hello world. This is a simple server. And now you create your first server simply. So this client trying to connect, so this client is connecting to my server, which is running, as you can see, is running. And here it's sending back some HTML, as you can see, hello world, this is a simple server, and blah, blah, blah. Is that okay? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Of course, I can add some style here. In real life, we will not build the server this way at all, because Express make it super simple. But it's a good idea also to know how to do that using Node. I can add some style if I want to, and I can add inline style. So I have a tag called style, right? I have something called style. Am I mistaken? So I can say style like that, and I say, for example, text align, and I can say center. And now here, my guy here should be center in the middle. But if I do that and I go to my server, I refresh my server, it's not working. Can anyone tell me why? Why this style is not applied? I just explained it. I've changed my server code here, but if I go to my client, it's not changed. Why?
You have to run it again?
Yes, I need
Because
to
the
shut
content.
down. Yes, exactly. I need to shut down my server and run it again. Shut down my server and run it again. Now, to remove from this problem, we have a tool called nodemon. So what nodemon is allowing me to do, so what I want you all to do now, just do npm I -g, so install it globally, nodemon. So it's just node, M-O-N. You can install this tool globally, and all of you do now. When we have this tool, whenever I make change to my server, it will automatically restart my server. And it will save me some time, and I don't have to close my server, run it again, shut down my server, run it again. Okay, can you install this tool now, please? All of you? We will use it, install it globally, -g, because we will use it on development all the time. Yep. Is it okay, guys, or not?
Yes.
Good. Now what I can do, because I have nodemon globally, and to show you here, if I say npm -g ls, so as you can see, I already have nodemon here installed globally for me. So I have another script here, as you can see, dev nodemon server. So all I have to do, I just say npm run dev. And we will use it all that. So as you can see now, it's nodemon. If I make any changes to my server, so let's try to make any change. For example, let's add another p tag or something. I will add another p tag here. Let me remove. See, it's automatically restart. So it will automatically restart it for me every time I make some changes. See, it's automatically restart for me, and like that, it's more practical. Every time I save it, it will automatically restart it for me. Now, if I go to my server, of course, I don't have the change, but if I refresh, voila. So the style is being applied, and now I have my new line. So I don't have to shut down my server, voila. But if I'm using nodemon, it's just one time. And that's how we build a very simple server using just node only. Question?
You're not using request, but it's working.
I'm not using request, I'm using response actually.
Okay.
Here. So here's the client. So when I go to this one, what my browser is doing is sending a request. It's here. So I say that's the request. That's what I get from the client. And of course, for the server side, we have response. So I'm writing the status code, which is 200. I'm writing the header, what type of data I want it to be. And I'm writing whatever I want to, then I'm ending the response. And voila, I have response. Cool?
So the response to the port open available. There's
You mean here?
yeah, the response you create is for the port that is open, the 5000.
Yes, exactly. So every time, as you can see, I am going here to localhost. Localhost means that's my device because my server is on my device, 5004. So if I go to 5004 here, it will just give me this response. But if I go to 5003, of course, it will not work.
Okay.
Because that's not my port.
Okay.
So I need to go to this port here, voila, and voila, it's working. Cool?
Okay, thanks.
So the port is like a normal door. I create my server, imagine the server just like a room, and people can enter this room only by using this door. I can define this door. If you want to connect to the server, you need to use this port. If you are not using this port, it will not work simply. Of course, you can change the port if you want to, it's fine. Let's make it, for example, 5003. And if I do that, save it, of course, most nodemon, it will automatically restart, as you can see. And now here, if I go to 4, it will not work, of course, anymore. And now I need to shift to 3. Voila, now it's working. Good? Yep. Okay, now I need to teach you something else. Now, normally with a port, we have sometimes we have some data, like for example, username for my database, password, stuff like that. We never put it in the server here file. We need to save it in a safe place. So that's the reason why we are using here this package here, which is called .inf. So what the hell is this .inf? It's a bit early for that, but I think you need to understand it because we will use it all the time. So I need to install this package, which is called .inf. And what .inf allow me to do, I can create a new file and I can name it .env. And as you can see, .env here, I can put my environment variable. So the data that I don't want anyone to see, I need to put it inside this .inf. And here in my example, of course, the port here, I don't want to put the port here really. So what I can do here, well, I can go to my .inf here, and I can use, I can put my variable port, for example, like that, equal, there's no space here, 5004. So I will define whatever I want to port is equal to 5004, just like that, without any spaces, because the .inf works this way. So just make it this way. After that, we will add the username for database, the password. We will add the string for my database and stuff like that. So all the important stuff, I don't want anyone to see and should add it to this .inf. And because I have this package, I install this package here, which is called .inf. Now I will be able to access this variable here using this package, which is called .inf. Of course, in VS Code, I can toggle it like that. So it will, if I don't want anyone to see, I can toggle it this way. But now it's just a port, so it's fine. But when it comes to password, stuff like that, I don't want anyone to see. Even when I'm sharing my screen, I can just toggle it like that so no one can see it. That's fine. Now, I don't want to put the port here. I want somehow to access the .inf here, and I can get this port. But how can I do that? Well, it's quite simple. First, I need to import this guy, which is called .inf. So I need to say import .inf. Import, it's a package, .env from .env. So first, I'm going to import this package, which is called .env. Remember, this package is not built in. I need to install it, .env. So the first step here, I need to just import the package, which is .inf. After that here, what I can do, I can just say .inf.config. Voila. So this .inf, it's an object. It has one function in it. It's called config. I just need to execute config here. And here I can just add, I can add just small comment, load environment variable. So what this function is doing here, it will go into .inf and it will see if there's any variable, and it's kind of loads this variable. And now I can use this variable if I want to. How? Well, it's quite simple. I can just say port here. If I want to access the environment variable, I can just say now use process. So in Node, we have something called process .env. That means the env I want to do. And what is the name of my variable? What was the name of my variable in .inf? What is the name of my variable was?
Port.
Okay, port. So I can just say it must be uppercase, the same. So what I'm saying here now, I want you to go to inside. So process, inside the process, I can access the .inf and I can access the port. So what I'm saying now, okay, my port here, it will be inside the .inf file. So I need to use the process. Process is like something built in Node. It allow me to access different file. One of them is inf. Process.inf, go give me the port. And here I can say or 5003. And you may tell me, what do I mean by 5003? So my port here is 5004, right? Now what I'm saying here, try to get my port from .inf, but if you could not, so if this value is faulty, I could not get this port, then use 5003. But here, of course, now if I save this one, so it will be port 5004, as you can see. But for some reason, let's say, if my server was not able to access the .inf, here I am providing another option. If you cannot access the .inf port, I want you to use another port, which is 5003. Is that okay? Yes, no?
Yes.
Now, let me do some tests here. Let's say I don't have this one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this one. Now, the port does not exist, right? Because the port does not exist, Save this one. Notice now it's working on 4003. So why? Because it was not able to access the port because the port does not exist. So it will take the second value, which is 5003. But of course, I want to add the port here. Voila. Cool. Yes, no.
Samir, port number, is it sensitive data?
Normally, yeah, I mean, you need to be careful with that. It's not very sensitive. We can use it all the time. It's fine. It's not really that sensitive data. But in the future, Daria, when we connect to database, we need username, we need a password. If we want to, for example, authenticate the user, we need some password to be able to encrypt and decrypt our data from GWT. Also, we will need to use a lot of other sensitive data. Port is not that important, but I mean, the norm normally we put our port here. But later on in the future, we'll put another certain sensitive data, for example, username, password, stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. Okay?
Okay. Yes, thank you.
But it's a good idea to teach you now why I am using .env. It's very important to teach you why I'm using .env currently. Is that okay?
Is .env in gitignore or not?
Yes, of course, you need to add it into the .ignore, of course. You cannot push this file to GitHub. So it's .env here. You need to add it to .getignore. So if I go to here, see, .env. It must be ignored. If it's not ignored, that means if you push it to GitHub, everyone can access your username and password, and everyone can access your data, Agnieszka. Okay?
Okay.
Because it will include a lot of sensitive data, so it must be inside .getignore, as you can see here. Where's my .getignore? Voila, .env. So that's simply how we can build a simple server using Node.js. What time is it? It's almost 10. Okay. Yeah, here. Should I do that here? I don't think it will be a good idea to discuss this one. It will be a little bit difficult for you and you will not need it, so maybe we don't do that. Oh, it's okay. Let me go to 4. You do not have to do the example or exercise 4, actually. I mean, I can do this one here. We can see some event in Node, but in practical life, you will not need it at all, actually. So let me show you something else. Okay, now that's nice. That's sweet. Everything is fine. But let's say I have a problem and I want to debug my code. How can I debug my code? Any idea? How can I debug my code here?
Debugger.
On
Yeah,
my
so
terminal.
first I will go to and I will shut every process here. I'm gonna shut everything. And I'm using NodeMoon. I'm gonna shut my server here first. That's the first step. The second step, I will go to this guy here. Do you see this guy? It's called run and debug. Of course, you need to remember that we cannot debug in the browser because I told you we don't have the browser here. So I'm gonna click on this guy, and then here I can create a launch.json file, or I can just read debug. So I can create this one. For each one, for what do I want to debug? Node or VS Code extension or web app or Chrome or stuff like that. I want to debug for Node, right? Yes, no?
Yes.
So again, I will just create this one. It will ask me Node, so I will create Node. And then here it will try to debug this one for me, but that's actually not what I want to. I'm going here. So what's happened when I do that, it will create, as you can see, launch.json for me. So it creates some setting for me, as you can see. So what you need to do, you will go here, you will go to debug, and in here, debug launch, you will just gonna copy this setting, copy, and you're gonna delete this setting, and do that, voila. Okay, now this one using a NodeMoon, so you need to make sure you have NodeMoon. If you don't have NodeMoon globally, it will not work, huh? Okay, now fine, I just add this setting. Of course, the setting is already here. So you can just copy paste them, or you can create this file if you want to manually, it's possible as well. I click, okay, now I have this setting for debugging, everything is fine. Now, if I want to debug my code, I need to add a breakpoint. Do you remember what's a breakpoint? So I can go here, for example, and I say click, and now that's a breakpoint. It's just like the browser. Now click on this one, and I have launch program. So let's click on that, and voila. As you can see, voila. So when it run my server, as you can see, it stopped here. And now, as you can see, just like in the front end, I have watch, I have variable, I have a call stack, I have everything I want to here. It's very similar to the browser. So I have my variable, global variable, I have my local variable, my global variable. I have watch if I want to watch a variable. This is my call stack. If I want to see, I can see here my breakpoint. So I can see everything. And of course, it's exactly like the browser, I have some buttons here. So here to resume, that means it will just stop it and resume it again. Here, if I want to step over, here, if I want to step over the function, here, step inside the function. And here, if I want to step out of function, and here, if I want to restart again, and here, if I want to end, stop. So what I can do here, actually, I can just write inside, when I stop over, it's this one. So I can just click on this one, voila, it will go to the second line, as you can see. And of course, I can add another breakpoint if I want to. So I have my port here, my variable like that. Click, and now it's go directly here. And if I just hover over the port, it will give me the value. Also, I can see it here. So it's not very different from the browser, but the idea here, you just need some setting. You need to add the setting you have already on your repo. You put the breakpoint, and after that, it will be very similar to the browser. Is the idea clear? Yep, no. Hello?
Yes.
Okay, so if I want to get rid of the debugger here, all I have to do, I will need to click on this one. And as you can see, it stops the debugging. Let me remove the breakpoint here. I don't need them. Click here. And of course, all the time in any project you are building, I want you to add this file and remove it from the .ignore. Is it in .vs here? I'm adding it to .ignore. Yeah, fine. You can just add it to .ignore. But what I want you in each project you are building, you need to have .vs code, launch.json, and you have this setting, because this setting allow you to debug your code, and we will need to debug our code all the time. Is the idea clear?
Could you explain those settings? Because you
Okay.
copy paste, but there was something else, and you copy paste something else. So
But
why?
actually, it's the same actually. Here I will tell you why. So first, what is the type? So what type of program or type of application I'm trying to debug? It's Node, right? Yes, no. What's the
Yes.
type? It's Node. Request launch. So launch, I'm trying to start my server. What is the name of the program? You can name the program anything you want, but we name it launch program. So if I go to debug, see, I have something called launch program. It's the name of the program here. Launch program, that's the name of the program. Here, if I want to skip some file, I don't want to debug them. For some file, I can just ignore them. That's not a problem here. Which file I want to debug, which is my server here. So which file is my server? And here it's server.js. So make sure the server you are naming it all the time, you need to name it server.js. If you are naming it index.js, for some reason, you need to update this one. So here it's just say, in any place, in any folder, I want you to start debugging from server.js. And that's the reason why I name my file server.js. Now, if you're naming your file something else, you need to update this one. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Restart, that means if I can make some changes while I'm debugging, I can make some changes, I can change a variable. And when I do so, do I want to restart my server? Yes, I'm saying here, restart, yes. That means if I make some changes, I want to see the result immediately. True. What is the runtime? So the runtime either I will have Node or NodeMon. So I told you in Node, we don't use Node. I prefer to use NodeMon. Why? Because NodeMon, whenever I make some changes, it will automatically restart my server, and I don't have to stop everything, restart everything again. So I'm using NodeMon. And here in NodeMon, and the last one here, do I want to see it in the console here? Because we have specific console. So we have specific debug console. So the approach, the question here, do I want to use this one? Or do I want to use the terminal? I'm telling, I don't want you to use the debug console. I want you to use it. Because normally, most of the time, we use the terminal. That's simply how it is. So integrated terminal, I wanted you to debug in the terminal, not in debug console. There's no difference between the two, but for me, I prefer to use the terminal because I'm gonna use two. That's all the setting. Of course, that's the version. Okay, Agnieszka.
Okay, thank you.
So for you, you don't need to change anything. Only you need to notice the name of the file and the name of your server here. If they are not the same, either you're gonna rename it to server.js or you're gonna rename this one to whatever name of the file to your server you are doing. Clear?
Yep.
Good, perfect. Remember, in any project, all the time, I want to see this one. You don't have to add it to GitHub, but all the time I want to see this setting, which you need to copy from here because I've already prepared this setting for you. This is the best setting. So what you need to do, you need just to create .vs code. You can create it from here as I show you, or you can create it manually. It doesn't matter. Launch.json, and you need to add this guy here. Besides this one, we cannot debug. Okay. Node module, everything should be fine. I think that should be for now. Okay, so what we can do now, we can take a short break, 15 minutes, and after that, so of course the debugging here, it's, as you can see, if you go to debugging, I explain in detail how can we, so first thing you need to create a .vs code folder, and then it must include launch.json, and then you need to add this configuration, and they're explained in detail again, Agnieszka, what type, what is this one, what's the request, what's the skip file, blah, blah. And also, if you want to add additional detail, node, moon integration, integrated terminal, everything here, it's detail. And of course, if you click on here, you will even have more information. Cool?
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect. Let's take our break. After that, when we come back, I'm going to explain a little bit NPM, which we already know, but just how to install package and install package locally, globally, because it's quite important for us. I'm not going to explain this one here, at least today. Maybe I can explain it here the route because it's a little bit complex for you. So I can explain it tomorrow maybe while you are fresh. But what I'm going to explain the error type. So in Node, we have different error type. We have runtime error, then we have logical error, and then after that, we have something else, which is called syntax error. And I want you just to differentiate between these three errors, just so you can debug them easily. That's it. Okay, enjoy your break. It's 10 and 10. We will be back at 10, 15 minutes, 25. Okay?
And what time we will finish today, Samir?
11.
11.
Samir,
Yes.
for me,
Let's resume record. Okay. So normally in Node, actually in most server-side code, we have different type of errors. First, we have the easiest one here, which is called syntax error. Can anyone tell me what is the syntax error? Can anyone tell me what is a syntax error?
I'm mistaking the
When-
syntax.
Yeah, for
around
example,
the
here is if I have rest.int and here I just
word.
type by mistake ints like that. Or I can type, for example, something like gibberish like that. And of course, that's really easy to distinguish. Why? Because my VS Code, it will tell me that I have an error. For example, if I say Jack, just Jack like that, that's considered syntax error, of course. And my VS Code, probably here, it will tell me that there is an error here, there is a problem here. So that's simply the syntax error. So syntax error, which is the first type of error, it's the easiest one to distinguish. Why? Because even your VS Code, it will tell you that you have an error here. Is the idea clear? That's what we call syntax error. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. So the first type of error here is the simplest one, which is called syntax error. Where's the syntax error? Where's my syntax error? Well, syntax error is very easy to fix. Your VS Code will tell you that you have an error here, so that's very simple. We have something called runtime error. So what is the runtime error? Let me show you something about the runtime error. For example, if I type let's say something like that. status code. Let me not use write here, for example. Let me use read, for example. Read like that. We know it's not correct, of course. So what I'm going to do here, when I run my server and I say npm run dev, I click. It look like here I don't have any syntax error. So let me try to create one. Here, let's not use listen. Let's use listens. Something like that. Voila. So that's runtime error. So there's a runtime error here. When I run my server here, I will find an error here in my console, simply like that. And of course, in the runtime error, they may look scary, but actually they are not. They're very helpful. Why? Because it tells you exactly where the problem is. So as you can see in listens, I have an S extra. I have my problem is here, and it's telling me it's type error actually. It's not, it's type error actually. It's more like syntax error here. Why? Because I have extra S here. So what is runtime error is when I run my server here, I will find an error, something like that here. And of course, it will show me where the error is. And also it will give me a message here. And I can Google this message to find this error, to fix this error. That's what we call runtime error. Now, runtime errors are really not that difficult to fix. Why? Because if I look at my terminal, I can see the error, and I see some indication. It gives me even the line here, line 24. So it's telling me at line 24, at column 8, so line 24 here, I was having this problem at line 24. So that's the line number. The first one is the line number. The second one is the column. Don't worry about the column. I'm just interested here in the line number, which is 24, which was here. That's simply the runtime error. So runtime error is not that difficult. It's a little bit more difficult comparing to syntax error, but again, you will have a message here. You will have some indication in your terminal. It will tell you what the problem is. Also, you have the line number, so it will kind of define or tell you where the place the error exists, which will be very easy, actually, much easier to fix. Is that okay? Yes? Yes, no? Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Now let's go to the third type of error, which is the most difficult one, which we call logical error. Now, in logical error, we don't have error, actually. For example, let me show you. Let me close my terminal, run it again like that. Div. Okay, it's telling me the port is already used. And here, let me change the port. Sometimes you may have this error here. It will telling you that, listen, address is already used. That means the port is already used. So what you can do here, either you can, there's some command to just kill the process and run it again, or maybe I simply can just change this one, for example, to 5, and that should fix the problem. You can kill the process if you want to, or you can just change the port here. I'm going to just change the port here, and now it's working. Okay, fine. What is logical error? Well, let's say, for example, now, let's see what logical error do I have. Okay, so let's do this one. So the status here, let's say it's 500 here. I just make it 500. And I'm sending a request. I'm setting the header. I'm sending HTML. Of course, it shouldn't be 500. The status code here, it should be 200 successful. But now I make it 500. Now, if I go to my browser here, now I think I changed it to 5.5, if I'm not mistaken. So if I go to 5.5 here, and I check my network here, so as you can see, I have I have some error here, as you can see. Local host, and it's give me 5,000, and it's give me internal server error. I don't have any error in my console. See, no error in my console, nothing. If I go to my server here, or I go to my client, my server is working, everything is working. But the problem here, why do I have this one here? Why do I have this status code? And of course, I know why I have this status code, but normally when you code, sometimes you have logical error. You don't know. I mean, you don't have any error in your terminal. You don't have, your server is working, but it's not working as you want to. That's the problem. And of course, and here, in this type of error, you need to debug your code. You need to go line by line. That's why it's the most difficult part, actually. So you'll go line by line until you discover, why did I make it 500? It should be 200, actually. And then you need to fix it this way. And after that, if you refresh your stuff here, and now everything is okay, it's 200. That's what we call logical error, and it's the most difficult type of error. Why? Because I don't have any indication. So now my server is very small. But imagine tomorrow we have a lot of files, we have a lot of different folders, and I mean, my server is working. I don't have any error in my terminal. I don't have any, my server is working, but it's not working as I want to. So that's what we call logical error. And logical error, as I told you, is the most difficult one because in reality, to fix the logical error, you can, for example, you can try to see what's the, if you are really have experience, you can say, okay, I'm suspecting the error is this part. But the most of the time, we have to read the whole code to find what the problem is and try to fix it. That's why it's the most difficult part or the most difficult type of error. Okay? Yep. No.
But can we save it to, with the debugging statement?
Yeah, but you can debug it. So if I want to debug it, again, it will be the same idea. I need to cancel this one. And then here, I need to read my code. So okay, after I read my code, I think, the problem I think is here. So I can put a breakpoint here, for example. And then after that, and now I can debug. I will go to debug. I already have my setting here. See? So I have my launch. I have everything. That's good. I will go to debug and I have the name of my file. I will click on this one and it will run my code, blah, 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 blah. Now I need to send a request. So why? Because here, this guy here, it will work only when the user sending a request. So I'm not sending a request now. So I need to send a request. To send a request, I just need to click and voila, it will stop here. And then here I can just say status code. It's 200, for example, before it was 500, right? So if let me make it 500 again. It's 500. Why it should be 500? I mean, 500 server error shouldn't be like that. And then I can go line by line until I find where the logical error. And then I fixed it. And when I fixed it and I'm happy with it, then I can remove my breakpoint and I can stop the debugging all of the process. And I can now go to my terminal again, get rid of this one, and start my server again. And now it's working, and now I can go here, voila, and still it's working. You got the idea, Agnieszka?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we knew where is the problem, so it was
But
easy.
yeah,
But if we
I
have
know.
lots of code, and after that, where will you put the breakpoint?
Well, it depends on the experience. So you're not gonna know it in one day. And most of the time when we have logical error, we have to review most of the code. You got my point? So we don't know. If I know, I can just fix it like that, but I don't know what the error is. Why? Because I don't have any indication in my terminal. I don't have any message in my terminal. I don't have any error in my client side. It's not working as I want to. And that's the reason why sometime or most of the time, if I don't know what the error is, I need to go through my code line by line until I find where is the error is. That's why it's the most difficult type of error. Okay.
Okay.
So that's simply a different type of error. Of course, I have a MD file here. You can go line by line and see. I'm giving some description for those. So for example, if you say first name, John, and you type last name does not exist. And it will give you here a syntax error. So a syntax error, why? Because last name, it does not exist. I don't have a variable which is called last name. I have first name. But I make a mistake, so that's syntax error. My VS Code will tell me that. That's simple. Runtime error, when I run my server, it will show me some message here in the terminal. And it's really also, it's a bit difficult compared to syntax error, but it's not that difficult comparing to logical error. Why? Because I will have a message here. It will tell me which line, and then also it will give me some error message. I can Google it and find the problem. But when it comes to logical error, there is no really an error. It's just a mistake I make, and I don't have any message in my terminal. I don't have anything here. And in this case here, it really depends on the experience. And some of them, by the way, if you write a lot of code and spend a lot of time of code, it may take hours. Some of them even it could take days, depending how much code you have. You got some people? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. I think I have time. Do I have time? Well, yes, I have some time. Good. So now we know what error type. Here we have some example here also for debugging. Don't worry about that. I'm gonna teach you tomorrow. This one is the launch one. It's okay. All you have to do, you just need to create this guy here. So let me show you again, just so you don't forget. Let me get rid of this one. So I want to now to add a debug setting to my project, and you should do it for every project. I will click on run and debug, and then here it's create a launch file JSON. I will just create on that for which I want to do it. Do I want it for Chrome or Node or stuff like that? I will choose Node. And here, as you can see, it will give me some setting. I'm gonna delete this setting. I don't want them. I will go to my repo. I'm gonna copy those. I'm gonna just paste them here, and voila. So I have my setting. And here I have launch programs and name as well. I need to make sure here the name server here is exactly like this one. If it's different, either I'm gonna modify this one or I'm gonna modify this one. Other than that, you don't need to do anything else. That should be fine. It should be easy. You should have now an idea of type of errors. As I told you, syntax error, runtime error, and logical error. Should be good, this one. I will go to NPM very quickly, and I already know you know what is NPM. So if you don't have package.json here, how can I create a package.json? Can anyone tell me? So if I don't have a package.json, what is the command to create a package.json?
npm -v minus y
npm
minus y.
npm yes, npm init npm init minus y mean yes for, because if I say npm init, it will give me some question, and minus y mean yes for everything. I don't want to answer the question, simply like that. So to create a package.json file, that's the command npm init minus y to yes for all question. If I want to install any package, I can just say npm install the package, or just I. Now, as I told you, we have different type of packages, and distinguishing between them is very important. So as you can see, we have dependency and dev dependency. Can anyone tell me what's the difference between dependency and dev dependency? I did explain it in the front end. What's the difference between dependency and dev dependency? Yep.
Dev dependencies for developers.
Yes. And dependency?
For
Okay.
deployment.
Yes, indeed. So dev dependency from the name, that means I will need them during the development while I am coding. After I finish coding, I don't need Prettier anymore. I mean, I just need Prettier and Babel plugin while I am coding. When I'm finished my project, I don't need them anymore because they are just dev dependency for developer. But this one dependency, my project will not work without them. That means when I push my code to production, I must have this library here or this package. If I don't have this package, my server, my code, it will not work because my code depends on this library. Is the idea clear? So that's the difference between dev dependency and dependency.
Can you explain once more, Samir, the difference?
Yes. So dev dependency means I just need them during the development because, for example, Prettier, I use Prettier just to format my code. But if I push my code to production, I don't care. I mean, my code, I need to kind of bundle my code. So I need to put all my code together after that and push it to production. I will not need the Prettier anymore. NPM run format, for example, I just use it to format my code during the production. During the development. But when I'm done coding, I don't need this package here anymore. But this one, when I push my code to production, that means it will be available online. If I don't have this package, my program or my code, it will not work. My website, it will not work. Yes? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Good. Of course, we have a global dependency or global package. Global package, that means it will available everywhere. For example, I just show you now, I need NodeMon, for example. So to install any package globally, I need to say npm install or I -g. So this flag -g, that means it's globally. So I install it globally, that means it's available in any place in my computer. So sometimes we need some global packages. npm install -g and the name of the package. Let me show you what package I have globally. So to show what package I have globally, you said npm -g. So for global package, ls less them. And as you can see, I have core back, I have node moon, and I have npm. Those are installed globally. So those are global packages. That means in any place I want to, I can just type node moon and node moon will work. In this project and in another project, in any project, because they are installed globally. That's globally. And as I
One
showed,
doubt, Samir, for me,
yes.
one doubt. We already installed Node 20 version. So, but for NPM, we have to again install NPM, right?
No. npm is included in Node, unless you are working
Okay.
only on Linux, because in Linux, you need to install Node and npm. But if you install Node, npm is installed automatically.
Okay, because I'm getting NPM error while trying to install NPM install -g.
Yeah, but -g, you need to add the name of the package.
Just I'm trying to install NPM, like I want all that node module in my project. So I'm trying to install NPM I or NPM install -g, but it's not working.
Like that, npm install -g like that.
NPM install -g, yeah.
It will not work, of course. You need to add the
Okay.
package name here.
Mm.
Because
Okay.
you are saying, I want to install it globally, but you are not telling it what package do you want to install
What package?
globally.
Okay.
So you need to add the name of the package. Otherwise, of course, it will not work. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
So that's the difference between the three. So here I can install, if you say npm install package, where you did not add anything, just you say npm install the package, it will install it as a dependency. So if I say again, npm install or I, the name of the package, just like that, it will install it as a dependency. But if I say npm install -D, it will install it as a dev dependency here. And of course, if you say npm install -g is a package name, it will install it globally. And you may tell me, how could I know I install this one globally or dependency or dev dependency? Well, you will come with the experience whenever you will learn. So whenever we are learning, I'm telling you, prettier babels are dev dependency. .env is dependency. Express is dependency. So you learn them one by one. Okay? Okay? Yes?
Yes.
Good.
Okay.
So you need to know this one, how to install the package. So if I tell you, for example, now I told you NodeMoon, I want you to install it globally because I will need it everywhere. So you need to say npm install or I -g and the name of the package. And if I want it to install prettier, for example, as a dev dependency, npm install -D. It must be capital D. You can use --save -div, but this one is easier. Just -D and the name of the package, and it will install it as a dev dependency, as you can see. If I want to install it as a dependency, just npm install the name of the package. That's it. What if I want to uninstall any package? Well, it's simple. npm uninstall the name of the package. What if I already have these guys, so I have this guy, but I want to check if they have update. So let's say my project is a little bit old, and let's say I have a new version for .env or like that. What if I want to update this library? It's quite simple. All I have to do, npm update. If I say npm update, it will go to my package.json and it will try to update all the dependency as a dev dependency. Click. Voila. So it will reinstall, but also I have the latest version. So it will now, what's going to do now, it will update all the package here to the latest version. What if I want to, that's for dependency and dev dependency, but what if I want to update a package which I installed globally? Well, it's quite simple as well. I say npm update -g NodeMoon. But NodeMoon is the latest version, so I don't need to update it. But if I want to update something I installed globally, just npm update instead of install. And if I do that, see, nothing will change. Why? Because I already have the latest version of NodeMoon. Now you know how to update your package. So npm update is work for dependency and dev dependency, everything in package.json. But if you want to update something, you install it as a global dependency, you will need to say npm update instead of install -g and the package name. What if I already have a lot of package inside my package.json and I just install the project and I don't have this node module? Well, to install everything inside package.json, dependency and dependency, all I have to say npm I. You already know that. So if I do that, it will go to package.json and it will install this one and this one for me. Okay, that should be simple. You already know that as well. What else? That's it. So you can just go through this command. You already have them. It will explain a lot of stuff for you if you need. There is just one command, which is update global package. But if you want to update, I told you, you just remove. Instead of install, you just say update. That's it. Is it clear how to use npm?
Yeah.
Yes. Great. I think we will stop for today. Tomorrow, I'm gonna, as you can see, we built a server today. So we build a server today, but tomorrow I'm gonna show you a little bit. We will make our server a little bit more complex, and we will show you different route. We will send like a form to the front end, and the user can type his name, for example, and then we'll receive it to the backend, and then we'll try to write it to file. So we will gonna tomorrow study this one. And yeah, I think I explained everything here. And then we will do some exercises for error type. We also do some exercises for which will be how to build your server using Node. And yeah, after that, we will have Express. Not tomorrow, later on, we will study Express maybe on Thursday, because after that, we will have 2 projects to do. Any question about today's class?
Yeah, Samir, I have a doubt because may I know, like I'm just operating one new project in VS Code. Then I have to import node modules in my project. So what is the first step? And like I forgot how to do. Just I need to install npm install, or can I clone this your project folder to my repo where it is in the GitHub?
Okay, let's say this is my project, I just cloned it, okay?
Okay.
I will not have node module. Let's say I just clone this project from GitHub, okay?
Okay.
When the first step here you do when you clone any project, you will check, do you have package.json or not? So if you have package.json, you will open package.json. You will check here, do you have dependency or dev dependency? Do I have them? So we will check, do I have dependency and dev dependency or no? I have dev dependency or no?
Yes.
Yes, I have dependency and no dependency. So the first step, it will be just right. I need to install them. So how can I install them? Just npm I. What npm I is doing, it will go into your package.json and it will install all the dependency and the dev dependency for you. Voila. That's the first step. Of course, if you have package.json, if you don't have package.json, you don't have to do it. Yes?
Yeah.
Question? Any question? Question? Of course, you can all the time go to your repo. You have all the information. I mean, I've already write everything. I spend a lot of time writing this stuff for you. So you can go here, everything, and explain in detail with some example. What is a node here? A lot of stuff here in detail. Event loop here. I've explained everything in detail. I make it very simple for you. Debugging also in detail. For everything, you have MD files, which explain everything in details like that, NPM, stuff like that. You can go there, and of course, you have the video, and if you have any question, you can let me know. Let's stop for today. I'll see you tomorrow at 9, and tomorrow, as I told you, we're gonna make our server, the one I built today, I will make it a little bit more complex. This guy here will make it a little bit more complex. And also, we'll do some exercise about here, exercise 4. And also, we have some exercise for error type, which will be syntax error or runtime error or logical error. And yeah, that will be for tomorrow. After tomorrow, Thursday, we will study Express. Is that okay?
Okay, Samir. Then please, Samir, can you will be uploading this today's recording as soon as possible, right?
Yes, I'm just gonna upload it now when we are done.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Is yesterday recording also You uploaded
Yeah, it's
Samir?
there. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
It's already there. Yeah, I always
okay.
upload it
Thank
very
you.
early if you want to go through it. Okay. Correct something, just a small note before you go, guys. Just a small note. I've seen some of you, here. When you create your check-in or when you create your deliverable issue, please do not add BF. Just add the name of the module, because BF, all the module I have, they are in Hacker Future repo, and their Sunday classes and my classes. So to distinguish between them, I name them BF. But here you don't need to name them BF. It's just know the name of the module without BF, okay? I fix them for you, but in future. Is that okay?
Yes.
Please comment on the rule call issue, because I only have 9. Where is the others? Now I will
Yeah,
consider.
I still have to do it.
Yeah, I will consider you did not attend today's class because you did not comment here.
Okay. Okay. Very
Okay.
good.
Any question?
Samir,
Hmm.
is it the on-site class is still Monday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Thursday?
No, it's Tuesday. The first day it was exceptional, as I told you.
Yesterday, yes.
So